Hey guys, welcome to the DevOps Pro channel and the Helm for Beginners series. In today's video, we are going to talk about the if-else statement in Helm templates. Just like in any programming language, we use if-else statements when we want to take certain actions based on a specific condition. You can also use the same if-else statement in Helm templates to take actions based on specific conditions. For example, today we have a chart named Web App where we are creating two resources in Kubernetes, deployment and service account. The deployment file is quite straightforward here. We are creating a deployment named Web App and using the Web App image with the dev tag. But what if we want to change this image according to our different environments? Meaning, if we are deploying the same deployment in the prod environment, then we want to deploy the image Web App with the prod tag. And if we are deploying in the development environment, we want to use the image Web App with the dev tag. And if we are not deploying in either of the environments, for example, if we want to deploy in a test environment, then we want to deploy the Web App image with the demo tag. In such cases, we want to keep the deployment file the same, but based on our conditions, we want to change the tag of our image. To achieve this thing, we can use if-else conditions in the deployment template. And wherever you want to change any field on a conditional basis, you can write an if-else statement there. For example, if we want to take the container's image on a conditional basis, we can use the if block for this image. And since we are using a templating language, we will write the if statement in double curly brackets. We will check if a variable is set by the name of an environment in the values file. And if its value is prod, then we will use the prod tag with the Web App image. So, if we want to check whether the value of the environment variable is prod or not, meaning if we want to check for equality, we can use the equality function here which we write as EQ. And as we saw in the last video, how to use functions. Similarly, to use the EQ function, we will write it after the if statement like this, so that it can check if our environment value is prod or not. And if its value is prod, then we will use the Web App :prod image in our Helm chart. Just like the if statement, you can also use the else if statement in Helm. So we create an else if statement and this time we will be checking for equality with the values of .environment dev. So, we are checking if the value of our environment variable is set to dev. And if its value is dev, then we will use the dev tag in our Web App image. But if let's say the environment is neither prod nor dev, in that case, we can add an else condition, and there we want to use our Web App image with the demo tag. This means if the environment is neither prod nor dev, then the image tag we want to use is specified in this else condition. In this way, our if-else statement is complete, and finally, we will add one more statement to close this if-else statement at the end. Now, let's save the file once and run the Helm install command with the dry run option. The YML file that will be generated during deployment, if you look into it, is currently using the demo tag with our image because we haven't set any environment variables in the values file for prod or dev. So, the else condition is being executed here, and the demo tag is appearing in our image tag. This is completely expected. It is working exactly as we instructed it to. But you may notice that there are two white spaces above and below the image in the YML file. This means there are two empty lines. And if we try to deploy this in Kubernetes now, Kubernetes will give us an error because of these two empty lines. These two white spaces are coming in the deployment template due to using if-else conditions. Because the if-else statements have been removed after rendering the files, and these white spaces remain in their place. To remove these white spaces, you can add a hyphen before the if-else statement so that it also removes the white spaces at render time. After adding the hyphen, if you save the file and run it, you will see that there are no white spaces appearing now. Now let's move on to setting values in the file and setting our environment variable and providing the value as prod. Let's see if by setting our environment variable to prod based on our condition, the tag of our image changes or not. Now if you look, our image tag has changed from demo to prod. This means our if-else condition is working correctly. Let's try setting the environment variable to dev and running it once. It is also working perfectly fine. Our dev tag is being appended to the image based on our condition. So everything is working perfectly well. we are able to change the value of the image based on the conditions. So, this was our first use case of using the if-else statement. We also have another template file in this chart for the service account, inside which we are creating a My Service account in the default namespace. But you must have seen that this service account is being created every time, whether we are deploying it in production or in the development environment. But what if we put a condition on it and only create it when we tell Helm to do so? So, to achieve this, first of all we set a field inside the values file, where we can pass true or false through a create parameter in the service account. This way, we can tell Helm whether we want to create it or not. And using this parameter, we will place the entire template file of the service account inside an if condition. Here, we will check if the value of values.serviceAccount.create parameter is set to true, only then do we have to create the service account, otherwise not. And finally, we need to add an end block here. So now our service account will only be created when we pass the create parameter as true. Let's run this file once because we have set the value to true in the values file, so you will see that our service account gets created. Similarly, if we pass false now, you will see that the service account will not be created. In this way, we can also decide in the Helm through a parameter whether we want to create an object in the real world or not using an if-else statement. This is how the if-else statement is used inside the Helm template. The concept was very simple, but it is a very useful concept when we use it in the real world based on different conditions and our requirements. These are small concepts, but they are very important concepts, so if you have any doubts about it, you can let us know in the comment section. Don't just understand each concept theoretically, but also practically perform and learn it yourself. Only then will you remember things and understand them well. If you liked the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share it with your friends. See you in the next video. Thank you.